I'm using the CL Talk Sprite again because people seem to really love it. Oh man. Anyway, this is a quick video because I just wanted to clear some stuff up because some people were getting hung up on the fact that I said in the previous video that I'm not a furry. And to specify, I'm talking about the anthropomorphic variety rather than the small pixie-like creatures. I'm looking at you, Digby's comments section. Before I get into this, I want to express the fact that I do not have a problem with the furry community. If everyone was the same and like the same things, then we as a species would be boring. I know some fairies both online and in real life, and they're the chillest people I've ever met. Of course you get bad apples in every community, it just takes people with a brain to realise that they don't account for the whole community. If you've got a grudge against fairies as a community, I don't want your comments here because this isn't about the community, this is about me. Take your ass over to a cringe compilation or something instead. Anyway, let's start by looking at the official definition of the word furry. An enthusiast for animal characters with human characteristics. In particular, a person who dresses up in costumes such as a character or uses one as an avatar online. Now, note the second word, enthusiast. The word enthusiast means a person who is very interested in a particular activity or subject. Now, I'm not interested in the furry community or being a furry. It takes one quick look at my DeviantArt gallery to establish this. The second part of the definition is irrelevant to this argument, so we'll leave that be. Now the third part is what is debatable. Or uses one as an avatar online. This is a grey area because, yes, a talk sprite may be considered an avatar, but so can this. Now, what a furry seems to be is a matter of opinion because it seems to be up for interpretation by its official definition. An animal with human characteristics. So you mean like Mickey Mouse? Possibly one of the most famous anthropomorphic animals ever. Does this mean that Walt Disney is a furry? Does this mean anyone with a Mickey Mouse icon on YouTube is automatically a furry? I guess another thing I'd like to bring up is how my talk sprite is a placeholder for my real face. I've mentioned it a few times in streams, but my little nameless goat dude here is only here because I kind of need a mascot for the kind of content I create. Look at other people who make similar content. And yes, links will be provided in the description. Please, please, please check these dudes out. We got Spoctor, Junkie, Stories, Yo-Yo, Quiet Quints, Sheep Gummy, Miki, Shiva, Cusape, Pega, Tentacle Dork, Lulu, Angelo, Ponder Sprocket, Lethal Aurora Mage, and even goddamn Solar Sands. We all use talk sprites and mascots. It's kind of a rite of passage when you create this kind of content. Although only people who use animals get called out for being a furry. I'm pretty sure Solar Sands hasn't had a million people assume he's in the object fandom because he uses an hourglass. For this video, I took the time to ask Yo-Yo, Stories, and Mage if they consider themselves furries. They all replied along the lines of, I wouldn't consider myself one, but I have drawn furries in the past. Stories in particular alluded to the fact that being a furry means engaging in the community, whilst Yo-Yo alluded to the fact that drawing a lot of anthropomorphic characters means that you're a furry. Mage, on the other hand, doesn't care if people label her a furry or not, but she doesn't consider herself one because she doesn't engage with the community. There seems to be a trend that how much you seek out other furries and engage with the community as a whole is what makes you a furry. Yo-Yo mentioned that she doesn't consider herself one anymore, but she had drawn furries in the past. But wait, isn't her talk sprite, Gudra, a dragon with human characteristics? Gumi is still the best Pokemon on that evolution chain though, just saying. Which brings me back to the point that my talk sprite is a mascot. You don't call everyone who supports Liverpool FC a furry because our mascot is a bird. In fact, you don't call everyone living in Liverpool a furry just because we're represented by a bird. Basically, if you call yourself a furry, then you're a furry. If not, then you're not. There's nothing wrong with being a furry, but there's something wrong if you can't accept that people who use a goat as a talk sprite aren't one.